Hi everyone.
Anthony Fantano is a cuckboy.
Here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Conor Oberst record, Ruminations. Famed singer-songwriter Conor Oberst is back with a brand new record. If you were emo as fuck in the 2000s, most likely you enjoyed some of Conor's music with bright eyes like Fevers and Mirrors and Lifted and I'm Wide Awake It's Morning. I'm not gonna go too deep into why, but around that whole Casa Dega era of the Bright Eyes discography, they kind of lose me. The songs feel watered down and the production is less dynamic, the instrumentation is less interesting. And unfortunately, Conor Oberst's 2014 solo record, Upside Down Mountain, didn't exactly provide an oasis from that. And come to think of it, I didn't really like his attempt at bringing Desaparecidos back from the dead either. So honestly, I don't know why I tried this album out. I wasn't really expecting all that much from Conor Oberst at this point in his career because he had put out so many albums that I didn't care for at all. But I'm glad I did give this thing a shot because I was pleasantly surprised. On this album, Conor goes back to the basics with acoustic guitar, piano, harmonica, and vocals. This thing has the instrumental tone of a folk record from the 60s, and he is standing simply on the quality of his songs on this album. No bells, no whistles, really no margin for error either. And since Oberst is an established lyricist and an accomplished songwriter, of course there are highlights on this thing. Some of them make pretty sharp, poignant, satirical observations about the world at large. Others are really personal, autobiographical, and almost painful to listen to because of how sad they are. The song A Little Uncanny is this very folky ballad that touches down on a series of historical figures talking about what they accomplish or how they affected the world in their lifetime is uncanny. Talking about Jane Fonda and talking about Ronald Reagan as well, saying that his policies drove Conor to read all of these Russian writers, Russian authors, I imagine for kind of a leftist perspective on the world. And I love the third verse on the track where he says he misses Robin Williams, he misses Sylvia Plath, he misses Christopher Hitchens, and I agree. He sounds particularly earnest at this point in the track, and I just love how this is conveyed over these really raw, intimate performances, all of which sound like one take. It doesn't really sound like there are any overdubs on this thing. I imagine the whole recording process is encapsulated in the photo on the front cover. Conor there, sitting at the piano, microphone in front of his face, harmonica latched right there, close to his mouth. The chilling song Next of Kin is a very dreary ballad where Conor is singing about having to notify someone of his dead lover. Then we get a really dreary depiction of his life afterwards. And later in the song, Conor reflects on moments where he's met Patti Smith and Lou Reed and how that didn't really change him and that he's lost his innocence through fame. He talks about spreading his anger, this anger that he gained as he rose to popularity like Agent Orange. On this track and many others here, he acknowledges that the spotlight has changed him and not necessarily for the better. Something I think he also references on the track Gossamer Thin. I assume this track is semi-autobiographical as he is singing about this drug addiction that he seemed to be going through at one point in his life, the bohemian lifestyle that he was living, and the entourage of free spirits who were following him around and fawning over every word that he'd say, one of whom it seems he had an ongoing affair with in the lyrics. And if this track isn't autobiographical, the song Counting Sheep definitely is, as Conor references having recently been diagnosed with a cyst in his brain, talking about trying to be easy, not wanting to be needy, not wanting to be greedy. I assume he is fearing that moment in his life where he's going to be so weak that he can't help himself. He's going to need to depend on, he's going to need other people to do things for him. He goes deeper into his health in the final verse as he's singing about his blood pressure and the alkaline produce that he has sitting in his fridge or in his pantry or whatever. This track I love because it's such a lyrically telling moment. It's such an interesting moment on the record, even if the song doesn't display the usual finesse that Conor brings to the guitar. Every track has a vivid and detailed lyrical lyrical angle. I could go into each story on each song, but I don't want to spoil every single one of them. And as far as the sound of the record, it's all pretty uniform. Those guitars, those pianos, the harmonica, the singing. He doesn't really veer outside of that, and I think this album in some ways is the better for it. It's nice to hear an album that sticks to its guns and is so well crafted that it doesn't get old, it doesn't get boring, it doesn't get stale. And that's just really a testament to Conor's talents, that he can strip things back so far that there's still great things to listen to, that there's still an appeal to what he does, even when he's breaking it down to the basics. Sure, you know, it's nothing altogether new. It doesn't exactly take any risks in its overt simplicity. You know, you could easily compare what he's doing here to Bob Dylan or even Elliott Smith. But those comparisons only go so far because Conor has a voice of his own. He has a storytelling style of his own, and these stories on this record specifically are all his own as well. I will say this album does live up to its title, Ruminations, to the point where maybe Conor's sorrow becomes a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow, especially at the middle point of the record where the songs get especially dreary. But if you've enjoyed his music in the past, you should probably go into this record expecting that dreariness, expecting that sorrow anyway. Really enjoying this record. Feeling a strong 7 to a light 8 on this thing. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and leave an angry comment in the comments if you're angry. All sorts of links next to my head, other videos, subscription, website. Click on one of them, and that's it. Conor Oberst, you're the best. Ruminations forever.